The movie begins with a man named Bruce, who used to serve in the military but was dismissed because of his drug addiction. After his military service, Bruce was homeless, broke and alone, so he lived on the streets wandering and thumbing rides to get by. One evening, while Bruce slept roadside, a car pulled up beside him. A drug dealer named Maurice stepped out and offered him work. Maurice often recruited homeless folks to distribute drugs because they were easily replaceable if caught by cops. Desperate for cash, Bruce immediately took the offer. Maurice then instructed Bruce to hop in the car. Together, they drove away. Suddenly, another car blocked their route. Maurice and his crew confronted the obstacle. The confrontation soon turned violent. Hey Nacho there, welcome back to Nacho Movie Recaps. Fearing homelessness once more, Bruce exited the vehicle and fired at the obstructing group. Bruce's actions rescued Maurice, who then provided Bruce with a decent home. Bruce felt immense relief, having transitioned from street life to a more stable and comfortable existence. A little later, Maurice came by to detail the operations of his crew. Before departing, Maurice handed Bruce a soda along with some narcotics for a high. The following morning, Maurice assembled his team, distributing the drugs they would soon sell. They had to sell the drugs secretly all over the city. If anyone got caught by the police, Maurice wouldn't help them. After that, Maurice asked one of his men, Tony Sharp, to mentor Bruce in his new job. Tony would stay with Bruce and train him until he knew how to do the work properly. However, Maurice didn't fully trust Bruce, so he asked his colleague Julie to keep an eye on Bruce. Maurice wanted Julie to report back to him if anything went wrong. Meanwhile, Bruce and Tony started organizing their drugs to avoid looking suspicious to the police. They promoted their sales by recording videos and uploading them to social media groups for drug users. They included their phone numbers so customers who were far away could contact them and make direct transactions. Soon after, a woman came to them and became their first customer. She bought the biggest amount of drugs, spending all her money to get them. She also gave her phone number to Tony and asked him to contact her when more drugs were available. Posting videos on social media turned out to be a quick and effective way to get customers and sell a lot of drugs. One day, Julie met with Tony and Bruce to keep an eye on their activities. At that time, Bruce fell in love with Julie at first sight. He was very excited when talking to her and asked many questions about her life. Julie noticed this and invited Bruce to a garage party near her house. Soon after, Bruce came to the party, dressed neatly, thinking it was a special invitation just for him. However, when he arrived, he saw that all of Maurice's men and some neighbors were there too. It was a regular party they had every day. Everyone there used drugs and partied until morning. They also had street fighter games and place bets. The next morning, Tony and Bruce gave the money they earned to Maurice and reported that all their drugs were sold out. Before they left, Maurice gave Bruce an extra job. He asked Bruce to kill a rival drug dealer who was secretly taking Maurice's customers. Hearing that, Bruce agreed without hesitation. After completing the job, Tony and Bruce went back to selling drugs. They organized the drugs to avoid police suspicion and started promoting them again through social media groups. A little while later, a man came to buy drugs, but he didn't have any money. Bruce didn't like this and told the man to leave, saying that if he wanted drugs, he needed to have the money to pay for them. After that, the man left right away. That night, Bruce went back to the garage party. This time, he wasn't looking for Julie. Instead, he decided to join the street fighter fights there. His friends had told him that if he could beat all his opponents, he would easily get Julie's attention. Without thinking much, Bruce jumped into the fight. Being a former military member, he easily defeated his opponent. That night, Bruce and his friends won a big bet. After the fight, Bruce helped carry a very drunk man to the car. This man turned out to be Maurice's rival, so Bruce and Tony finished him off as they were ordered. The next morning, Bruce and Julie went on a date. Bruce felt happy, thinking he could have a future with Julie. He even imagined living with her forever. They chatted happily, but Bruce didn't know that Julie was just pretending. She was only doing what Maurice had told her to do. Soon after, Bruce and Tony went back to report their sales to Maurice. But this time, Maurice was not happy with them. He had heard that Bruce and Tony were cheating. Tony had been taking a small amount of drugs and selling them at a cheaper price. Because of this, Maurice gave them extra work. At that time, Bruce and Tony had to accept it, or else Maurice would fire them both. Shortly after, Bruce and Tony went back to Bruce's house. While they were relaxing and watching TV, one of Maurice's men arrived with a bag. Maurice had ordered them to deliver this bag to a specific place. They were not allowed to open the bag or touch its contents because it belonged to important international clients. If they broke the rules, Maurice would punish them. Surprisingly, their job was to deliver the bag of drugs to the military headquarters, which was a dangerous trap. Bruce became very angry because he didn't want to deal with the military, especially since he was kicked out for using drugs. He was scared the military would recognize and arrest him. So, Bruce asked Tony to help him by not delivering the bag. Because of their strong friendship, Tony agreed. That evening, Bruce asked Tony to take him to Maurice's drug manufacturing place. Bruce wanted revenge on Maurice for setting them up by making them deliver drugs to the military. When they arrived, Bruce, wearing a clown mask as a disguise, went in and created chaos. He took money and stole some drugs to sell later. He also captured Maurice's right-hand man, but couldn't bring himself to kill him because of his humanity. Reluctantly, Bruce let him go. After getting enough money, Bruce and Tony rented a house and hid there with Maurice's bag. Unfortunately, the bag had a tracker, so Maurice's men found their location. Soon after, they came to take the bag and delivered a message from Maurice. He demanded $2 billion from Bruce and Tony. If they didn't gather the money in 2 days, Maurice would kill them. In a hurry, Bruce decided to join a fight to earn the money. He told Tony he would challenge the defending champion, knowing it was risky. There, Bruce also asked Tony to place a large bet on him, so they could win a lot of money if he succeeded. Before the street fight match, Bruce called his old military friends. He wasn't sure he could win against the defending champion, so he asked his friends to ambush the place and catch all the fighters. This way, Bruce could use the chaos to escape and get free from Maurice's control. The next day, match day arrived. Tony placed the biggest bet possible to win a lot of money. He then encouraged Bruce, who was getting ready. The match had 2 rounds, and each round would stop if one wrestler fell to the floor. Before the match started, Bruce had drunk too much and taken drugs, which affected his focus. The match began. Bruce and the defending champion exchanged fierce attacks. Because Bruce was too drunk, the defending champion easily hit him, making Bruce struggle. Unfortunately, Bruce's punches were weak and easily avoided by the champion. Even when he had good chances to hit back, his punches didn't hurt his opponent. At that time, the defending champion won the first round by knocking Bruce down with a strong kick to his ribs, breaking a few of them. Before the second round, Tony reminded Bruce that he had to win, or they would lose money and Maurice would kill them. Hearing this, Bruce fought with more determination. This time, both fighters were equally matched, attacking and trying to find gaps in each other's defenses. In the middle of the match, Julie came and smiled when she saw Bruce. She was happy that Bruce had fallen in love with her. After watching for a while, Julie decided to leave the fight. Long story short, the defending champion defeated Bruce, and at the same time, his military friends arrived for an ambush. Everyone in the garage was killed except for Bruce and Tony. Afterward, Bruce forced Tony to take him to Maurice's headquarters because he wanted to kill Maurice that night. However, Tony refused and repeatedly asked Bruce not to do it. But Bruce, blinded by his desire for revenge, insisted. He gave all the money to Tony and demanded he drive him. Reluctantly, Tony agreed. Meanwhile, Maurice and his men had no idea what had happened. Maurice was busy playing cards with his men, enjoying the quiet of the forest. They didn't realize that Bruce was watching them from a distance. Eventually, Maurice went into the tent to sleep. Soon after, Bruce entered the tent and threatened Maurice with a gun. At that time Maurice tried to explain what had happened, but Bruce didn't want to hear any excuses. He knew Maurice had tried to kill him by making him deliver drugs to the military. Without hesitation, Bruce shot and killed Maurice. After Bruce killed Maurice, he went back to living on the streets as a homeless person. He moved from place to place by hitchhiking to avoid being caught. Deep down, he didn't regret what happened. In fact, he was glad he got his revenge by killing Maurice. One day, Bruce met a man in the forest, and it was Paulie, Maurice's boss. It turned out Tony had reported everything to Paulie, so he kept chasing Bruce everywhere. When Paulie caught Bruce, he scolded him and gave him a special assignment. Paulie told Bruce that he would be sent to South Africa to run a drug business there. If Bruce refused, Paulie would kill him. The moral lesson from this film is always double-check who's behind a clown mask, and remember, revenge might get you a one-way ticket to South Africa's drug trade.
If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to Nacho Movie Recaps for more awesome content just like this. Stay tuned and keep watching.